Welcome, chefs, to this week's episode on The Kitchen. We are excited to have you. Thank you for listening. Thank you to all of our listeners, our faithful listeners. We love you. We see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for making 10 episodes possible. We have many more on the way, and we're just having fun, you guys. So thank you for letting us just have fun. We see your feedback, and we really do appreciate it. Mile marker for 10. This is big. And today we thought we'd do an episode about photographers and how much we hate them. Just kidding. This is stories written by you called Photographer Wars, where you guys submitted stories about some nightmares you have with photographers. In retrospect, 2 out of those 5 stories are actually nothing to do with photographers, more about how horrible videographers are. So a little bit of mix of both. Without further ado, let's cook.
Living in a daydream. Ooh, such a sweet thing. Life on the big screen. It's such a beautiful scene, yeah.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Jacob.
You look like you're about to rob a bank.
I felt like robbing a bank.
You look like Frozone in that one scene
Hey,
when they go into the
great
fireplace.
scene where he's got the beat. Oh, yeah.
You look great.
Thanks. You
Like a
look dashing
skier trying to
yourself.
rob a bank. How was your week?
Don't remember. I think it's been good.
Good.
What have we done?
It was one of those weeks too, just kind of editing all day,
Yeah.
grinding stuff,
Yeah.
working on finishing the luxury posing guide finally.
Yep.
Working on the next courses,
Yep.
launching our our quote unquote mastermind / more of a coaching program next year,
Champagne.
which we're stoked about.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a good week.
The Champagne Club.
So the Champagne Club.
Yeah.
And then we found out there's an actual business called the Champagne Club where they actually deliver champagne.
It's an actual champagne
Yeah.
club.
We chose champagne because it's one of our brand colors, and that's all.
That's one. We don't even drink champagne.
So,
Hey.
but we'll talk about more of that in the coming weeks. But essentially, week one, the workshop was for me. Tell me if you agree with this, but for me, it was like an eye-opening experience in the
Right.
sense of how much I missed being in a room with people and like teaching. Hold on, let me fix this crap mic. And I don't claim to be like the best teacher, but like there's a real genuine when you remove the script and you actually sit down and talk to somebody and help them. It's so refreshing, and I loved it. So we have our courses, but yeah, we're both really excited about actually sitting down one-on-one, personalized coaching calls. So that's the champagne. We'll probably talk about the Champagne Club in more deep depth soon, but
We've got about a month.
Yeah,
to
but we're
still
excited about
finalize
it.
some things.
it's not group calls. It's personalized one-on-one coaching.
Set curriculum.
Yeah, with only 20 people. So
Yep.
it should be pretty cool. We're really excited about it. But chocolate.
Chocolate of the day.
So today I'm on a bar again, Artisan
Again.
Chocolate.
Love
Now
Mono.
this is a mango chili bar. For those seeing, it has a mango and a chili. It's 55% dark chocolate. Does that mean it's not
See-
as heavy?
See, that's where it's like,
'Cause I'm not like a diehard of like the 80%.
I'm pretty
anyway.
sure. Really, see, that's my favorite. That's
Yeah.
why I consider dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong. The second it passes 50%, it's dark chocolate. So 55% to me is still pretty much just like milk chocolate, just a lot of sugar. So the lower in percentage you go down, the more sugar it usually has added to it. I'm going to eat this away from the mic because I keep listening to our podcast. I'm like, man, we're eating straight into this. Wow, it's really got a kick.
There's a kick
It's
at the
got a
end there.
A lot of chili in that.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never been like a fan of the
Oh, when it hits the
habanero.
back of your throat, it really,
I've never been a fan of the chocolate spicy stuff. Although this is probably one of the best I've had.
it's really good. I'm spiced up though. Also, I'm fucking smart water today.
I got the Voss.
I drank my
you have
Fiji
Smart-
on the
you
way
have
over.
Fiji.
Yeah. Anyway,
Hey, not bad.
not bad.
I'm gonna eat the second. Hang on.
Yeah, wow, really lingers. What's the Ron Burgundy quote? Really stings the nostrils. I'm not gonna lie, it's quite pungent.
Well, that's
Pretty good.
That's solid. I like that.
Pretty good.
I wouldn't eat it,
No.
but it was nice.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, not bad. So that is a mango chili.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but still very good. It's interesting. I've never had like really spicy chocolate before.
That is definitely spicy.
The
It
first
is
bite, you're
lingering.
like, it's mango, and it ends, and you're like, I need water.
I feel like I just ate a taco.
That was crazy. Okay, so today's episode, it's one I'm actually very excited about. We've waited. Oh, actually, a little celebration.
Yeah. What about it?
This is episode 10,
Is it really?
double digits. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check.
I think it is. I
It
think
is.
you're right. Yeah.
Episode 10, double digits.
Episode 10 of like 1 hour podcast. So if we would have split into like 30 minutes, that would have
Yeah.
been 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, kudos.
Yeah. So we are 10 deep into this journey, it's awesome. Really fun. And like honestly, I think Nate and I've just been like surprised at
Pretty easy.
how I was gonna say that. I was gonna say how much you guys actually watch this and listen to it.
Yeah. No, definitely surprised. at
Some
that.
surprising listeners too.
Yeah,
I'll call her out. Cherish Conklin from
Cherish.
Larev. You just think this would be the last piece of content she'd consume, and every time we talk to her, she's like, she'll reference something from the podcast, and I was like, so
called out my
honored to have some of
tardiness.
the best listening.
Called out my tardiness when I didn't show up
did.
to the Zoom meeting. She's like, I heard it from the
She did.
podcast.
Yeah, so we gotta be careful what we say. But I mean,
Thank you for being here.
kind of cool that Larev
Yeah.
seeks inspiration from Runaway Vows on the kitchen. So what can we say? We're kind of the
Is the
name in the podcast world right now.
the furthest thing from it.
Adam Grumbo always comments on our
course.
podcast and reminds us how inexperienced and naive we are. So
But in the nicest way possible.
I take it very personally, but love that guy.
Yeah.
Excited to see him next week.
Yeah.
All right, but you guys, this episode I'm excited about. This is Photographer Wars. And we're going to read, I think we're only going to read like 5 stories today, just for time. But these are some 5 crazy stories. But let's be clear. We're not anti-photographer. This is just poking fun.
We're pretty pro
I'm
photographer.
very pro-photographer. I learn a lot from photographers.
Yeah.
What to do and what not to do.
I'm also very grateful for them because they take a lot of the heat.
They do.
They're leading the
They
sessions.
also cause a lot of the heat. Which
They do.
Which we'll read. But yeah, they do.
They do.
I'd say the number one thing that I'm grateful for photographers for is that they do their job for whatever reason, just because of history, their job is usually to pose the families and
Yeah.
that's a
100%.
that I'm glad I don't have to do that.
It's the worst job.
So, but yeah, we thought it'd be fun for videographers to kind of vent about their bad experiences with photographers, and there are many. It'd be funny to actually have photographers on here and have them vent about videographers.
I was about to say, yeah, do we have a videographer? Probably not
do.
like a video.
We have one submission. It's called "Videographers Suck," and it's from a videographer himself.
Amazing.
But one day we'll have some of our favorite photographers on. That'd actually be pretty funny. And just have them vent.
Would love that.
I bet if we had Spencer on, he'd vent about us wearing T-shirts and jeans to weddings,
Which he still wears.
which he still wears, which
Yeah.
is hilarious. But,
Yeah.
So yeah, Sam does too. But
Dang, I just remembered. I had a surprise for us that was supposed to be delivered today. We should have recorded this a little later.
a Christmas gift?
You could say that.
Oh, next episode then.
It'll be after Christmas.
New Year's gift.
New Year's. Hey, great 2023, yeah?
All right. Well, I'm excited to see it. So yeah, we're gonna read these stories again. You guys, if you want to submit a story, links below. Submit anonymously your stories, whether it's with a photographer or vendors or whoever it may be. But without further ado, let's dive in and give our takes on some of these photographer wars, nightmares, horror stories, what have you. First, before we get started,
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate photographers?
Scale of 1 to 10?
1 being
I don't hate them at all.
I don't mind them. I like them actually. 10 being I would be happier if there was never a photographer at another wedding?
I think it depends on the scenario. Sometimes it's nice to
Give me a generalization so we can cancel you. Clip this and cancel you.
A generalization. It depends on the scenario.
Nathan hates photographers.
It depends on the scenario. Sometimes there are times where like, oh, it's only us and the couple, and it's great because we got to do all the posing, we got to get everything that we know that we don't have. But there are other times where I want a photographer because I don't want to do those poses, or I just want to kind of
Out of your own
work around
laziness,
them.
then.
No, out of my own efficiency.
I just don't want to pose them, so I want someone else to do my job for me.
Efficiency. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 3. I like photographers. I enjoy working with other people.
You do.
Almost always I'll have a second shooter with me. But if I don't, it's nice being able to crack jokes with the photographer. And
Yeah. And I feel like at a wedding, I can tell within the first 2 minutes if I'm
if
not
you're
like
gonna
the
like him.
photographer.
Oh, absolutely.
So here's my take on that then. Because Adam called us out and said, like, I just think you guys I can't believe you guys like photographers so much.
Right.
You know, and he doesn't dislike photographers. But I understand what you're saying. But I think that brings up the overarching point to my ramble here is I think a lot of videographers rely on a photographer to do their job. Or they say, if it's a bad photographer, I can't do my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's completely false. I think that's a lazy victim mentality mindset, whereas I can only do what I'm being paid to do if another vendor does their job too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, no, absolutely not. So for us, I think when we walk into a wedding, we can usually tell in the first interaction how the photographer will be. Based on the professionalism, their collaborativeness, just kind of how they even look us in the eye, you know,
What
can
they're
usually
dressed,
tell
what they're dressed in, yeah.
what they're dressed as, especially.
Huge.
And if they're not, we instantly have to make that decision to adapt and say, okay, this wedding, I can't really trust them, and I need to work around them, and plan to work around them more than I need to plan to be collaborative with them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe that means setting up a different camera on the ceremony, making sure you always have your angles covered, over communicating, like whatever it needs to be. But I hate when videographers say like, oh, I couldn't get the shot because the photographer. Good example.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we saw a post in one of our groups. It said,
Who posted it?
I don't know. I wish I knew their name. I'd call them out. But they posted at the first kiss, the aisle shot, the most important part of the ceremony, arguably. The videographer was in the back of the aisle on a 7200. The photographer was at the front of the aisle on a 35. Maybe he said, hey, I'm on the back. Please stay on the left side. But you can't expect a photographer to
Yeah,
remember to do that.
that's not fair.
Because
Yeah.
what happened? They wanted to get a better shot, and they moved to the right, ruined the videographer's shot. Videographer's pissed. They missed the angle. And I'm just like, well, that's 100% on you.
Mm-hmm.
If the photographer says, no, I'm going to be up the front, you can hope and pray they stay in their lane. But if they're already not willing to be in the back, you should go to the front as well.
I agree.
So even if it may not be your favorite shot, you need to adapt and work around uncollaborative vendors, photographer, DJ, what have you.
No, I agree. That was a good take.
I have good takes.
That was a
I am
good take.
politically correct.
Jake's takes.
Jake's takes.
Yeah.
So that's a big disclaimer for these stories. I want you to know we're not pro photographer, but we're not pro videographer either. Two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
We can like photographers, but not always side with them.
Our job always comes first to us.
Always.
We always know what we need, what we want.
Yeah.
And if there are photographers we work with who we know are going to get the job done. Like
Absolutely.
we just know working alongside them, we'll get everything we need.
Yeah.
But there are other videographers, like what you said, the second we meet them, we might say, oh, they're not going to do it. Or this is a big one with LDS weddings when they have to direct the couple hundreds of people at the temple grounds and they have to yell out loud to get everyone all organized. A big indicator of how well we're going to work together is how loud they can direct people. Because there have been photographers who are just like mouse voice, like, hey guys,
Can you find a
and
window?
there's hundreds, if not thousands of people on the temple ground and they don't hear a thing. So that's when it's like, all right, we got to take
I
the
yell.
reins.
Yeah. Okay, so to further drive this point home, twist the knife, let's take photographers out of it and let's substitute a DJ Okay, just for the principle here, same thing. If a DJ isn't ideal, you would never tell the couple, I couldn't get this shot because of your DJ. You'd adapt, right? And we've had experiences.
Like I couldn't get this audio or
Yeah,
something.
we've had experience. The DJ said, no, you can't do this. You can't plug it into my system. You can't do this, or his system was just garbage and it was going in and out. We had to adapt by putting microphones in different places, over miking, so that our job could still get done, regardless of the DJ's equipment or setup or whatever. And it's no different. For me, it's no different with a photographer.
Yeah.
Whatever they have. If they have 4 light stands, C stands, flashes, like your job is still, it sucks, but you can't complain.
Yeah.
We did a wedding where they had the flashes. They shoot the red dots, the red grid. I don't even know what that's called.
I don't even know either.
But they shoot a red grid on the subject before the flash goes off. I think it's an outdated flash, and
Helps it focus.
so now our video just has a bunch of red dots in it. But what do? Like, you can complain about all you want. But I was like, well, this is your day. That's the photographer they hired, so I'm just gonna capture it, and they know. Like,
That's also our
sucks.
mindset and our motto that we preach is document, don't produce. The the couple knows how it happened. So they shouldn't get mad at you if they see red dots and flashes. You can't do anything about that. They hired the photographer.
yeah.
They'd seen their work previous.
Yeah, I mean, that one definitely, I think, is where I will side with videographers and say photographers should throw that piece of flash away. That's the most garbage, disrespectful, obtrusive piece of equipment.
I think I'm fine with it during like a hype dance party. That
That's fine.
paparazzi.
That's fine. Yeah.
But if it's just all throughout the day, when it gets slightly dark,
Brutal.
brutal. Absolutely.
Anyway, Nathan, start us off. Photographer.
Man, I have
wars.
the worst worst timing. Sometimes okay.
Did you just get the sniffles?
No, I just swallowed wrong and down the wrong pipe. Want to cough out my lung right now. Okay, I'm starting us off.
Need some water?
Let me grab my Voss water.
Voss clearly isn't helping him.
No, it's because I
Guys, I'm not like a
didn't have
huge fan of Smart Water. Actually, I do love Smart Water. It's not like my favorite, but I still find it very refreshing.
Voss. Smart water's solid.
Big fan of the nipple cap.
I'll hold my tongue. All right, I'll start us off here. Photographer wars. First things first. I love it when they start out with that.
Yeah.
First things first, the photographer ran in front of all my shots during the ceremony.
Cry me a river, dude. Cry me a river. Have multiple camera angles. Gosh, there are 3 photographers.
Maybe this is a specific scenario. Okay, hang on. Let me start over because I was interrupted. First things first, the photographer ran in front of all of my shots during the ceremony and was 2 feet in front of them for the kiss.
Unforgivable.
Even after I told him the game plan for the ceremony. Afterwards, we were doing portrait photos and videos of the couple, and with 20 minutes to spare, my second shooter asked to take the bride for a shot of just her, and he said, "You're a second shooter, so we don't have time for your stuff." Horrible experience the rest of the night being rude to my second shooter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
terrible.
First of all, no forgiveness on the photographer's end for standing 2 feet away from the couple. I can't stand that. You're not
35
just. It's not a good shot. First of all. Second of all, you're ruining the guest's view.
It's the 35 millimeter when they get just this close.
Yeah, I'm like
It's like, come on. Give us
crop
some
in,
space.
like remove yourself from that. It's not your wedding. It's not your photo. The couple won't like that photo more than their guest coming up to them and saying, "I couldn't even see your first kiss," or the mom or the grandma or
Right.
the live stream. Who knows?
Yeah. So
No
put
forgiveness.
yourself in the second shooter's shoes here.
'Kay.
All right. Jacob Weisler, second shooter here. Hard to imagine, I know, right? Come on, Jacob Weisler.
I would never. Just kidding.
So you're a second shooter, and you're like, "Hey, I have this vision," which I am totally on the second shooter's side here. As a second shooter,
really?
you want to be creative. Like sometimes you just have like a spark, and you're just like, "Hey, I want to." If they're not doing anything with the bride, sure, I'm gonna want to. I feel like I have the freedom to say, "Could I pull the bride aside for a second, get a shot?"
What if you were second shooting for Larev?
Those are different types of weddings.
But maybe.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I would have appreciated that.
Do you think there should be a chain of command? That you should first approach the main shooter and say, "Hey, I have a shot," and then because I feel like you and I do that. You're like, "Hey, I have a shot,"
hey, I have a
and
shot.
then I'll
Can I-
like yell like,
Absolutely.
"Hey,
when you're
Nate's
done
gonna
with
do a
this,
shot with you, and I'm gonna do like."
Yeah. This sounds like it was probably just like a probably budget wedding, probably not luxury wedding.
Counting a lot of
I'm
dots that aren't
guessing.
there.
If it's a luxury wedding, they probably would have said something.
Maybe.
Anyway, if the photographer was like, "No, get out of here. I don't have time for your stuff," what do you say?
If they said that to me
They said that
about
to
my
you.
second shooter,
Isn't that what they said?
yeah.
Did they say it to the second
first of
shooter's
all-
face or
Yeah,
to
he
the
said to the
primary?
So, like, let's just say this is our wedding. You said that.
You're a second shooter. We don't have time for your stuff.
If they said that to my second shooter, I would retaliate.
Throwing fists.
I would say something right back. I'd say,
Yeah.
I said, no, we have time.
Yeah, we got time.
And he's actually a god
We're a team.
at shooting.
Yeah, we're a team.
And I was like, and actually, I will trust him more. Yeah. So, like, yeah,
We're
you
the
take the
video
bride,
team.
I'm going to take the groom. Like, we're
Right.
just going to split up for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It'll take 3 minutes.
I can't believe just the level
Oh,
of
I'd yell.
unprofessionalism
That is
it would
rude.
take
That
to
is
just
rude.
to look someone in the eye and say you're a second shooter.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the second shooter is just there
It's
helping
just
them
that
out. And
small man complex,
Yeah.
man. Like, a lot of that hierarchy, what's the phrase? Like, when those guys who just, like, want to own people and, like, want
Yeah.
to command that boss complex. What's it called?
short man syndrome,
Yeah, kind of, but they also, like, the power hungry.
power hungry. Yeah.
Like they've worked their way up to be a lead shooter, and now they just think that like second shooters are so beneath them and like in
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
Where in my experience, a second shooter has never meant an in training person. It literally means someone. It's a luxury.
right. Right.
Because not everyone has a second shooter, and if I do, it's because it elevates the film. Mm-hmm. Sunlight. Oh, you might have a cool sun flare. We'll see. Anyway,
Or
yeah, that's rude. No forgiveness for me. The only thing I'll forgive is the photographer being in all your shots during the ceremony. I think that's a you problem. Unless they're literally somehow getting in front of all 3 cameras.
Right.
If you have 3 cameras. And if they were, it's probably because they're at the front of the aisle on
Yeah.
35. Some photographers, man, I mean, like photographers like this, like it's common. Like it's sad. It's pathetic. It's, yeah. I've been to a lot of weddings where I feel like the couple has noticed that the photographer is intrusive.
Yeah.
And that's what's the sad part is that a lot of, and I actually think we just talked about this on Emma's podcast coming out next month. But a lot of photographers are hired.
Watch what you say.
I'll say it. A lot of photographers are hired. Should I say this? A lot of photographers, in my experience, a lot of photographers were hired based on their Instagram feed solely.
I don't think that's a bad
It
thing. to
looks
say.
trendy. It looks beautiful. Great. They arrive at the wedding, unprofessional, dressed not well, and they're intrusive. It's all about them. They think they're celebrities at this wedding. It's think, wow, you are so honored to have me photograph your wedding. And everything they want goes, period. And the whole thing's like one glamorous photo shoot, and they're not actually documenting a wedding day. And the bride and groom regret it. And they notice it, and it's awkward, and it's been vocalized to me a few times.
Yeah.
And that's just sad. I think I'm sure it applies to almost every vendor, but I think
Yeah.
with a lot of photographers, sometimes the cover of the book is not the same as the content inside.
I've never had it vocalized to me from a couple. Like,
We have
thank
once.
you.
Maybe you weren't there.
If it hasn't been vocalized, like, hey, I know the photographer was hard to work with. Thank you for, still showing up. But it has always been expressed under the table in how they say thank you at the end of the day.
yeah.
There's like, guys,
Yes.
you can tell when they're trying to say,
were so easy.
yeah, you can tell when they say thank you if they're really trying to say, our photographer was the worst. You guys were great.
That experience happened to us a few times. Yeah. Yeah.
And vice versa, I imagine, for photographers.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank you for being great for the videographers.
Yeah. My favorite thing after a wedding is when you're so tight with the photographer, you both walk up to the couple and like say goodbye. Like it's like a together thing, and they just want to group hug you because it's like the dream team and they felt it. I love those
That is
collaborations.
great. Yeah.
Anyway, this photographer, not a dream team.
Nope.
We should rate these photographers as we go through this.
I'll give that on a 1 to 10.
5 stars. Yeah.
Oh, 5-star
I'll give
rating.
him a 1.
I'll give him. It's hard because we don't hear the photographer side.
Don't need to.
With the second shooter thing, no. I don't need to hear the other side. You're just trash for that. But
Yeah, that's
maybe the
disrespectful.
ceremony they
What if the
didn't.
second shooter was very abrasive though?
Maybe the second
What if they
shooter-
were just like really loud and
They could have been unprofessional. I'm gonna be generous, and I'm gonna say the photographer was a 2-star. Give him a little bit of wiggle room.
it's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, next story. At my most recent wedding, I had just arrived at the venue, was doing my initial walk and greetings When I approached the photographer, I said, "Hi there, I'm blank. Very nice to meet you. I cannot wait to work with you today." She replied, "Hey there, I'm blank. By chance, are you using lighting today?" I replied, "Yeah, I have some lighting that I pull out during the reception to help us out." She replied, "Make sure to leave them on for me too. The wedding last week, the videographer would get his shots and turn off the light, and I'm not dealing with that BS this time." I was taken back, but assured her I'm a team player. They stay on until the thing we're filming is done. Internally, I was like, I'm not the last videographer, so I assume I'm like that. Generalization. At the end of the night, she showed me a photo. The videographer she was referring to had packed an Aperture 300D and Light Dome 2 to the reception.
So this isn't really a photographer war. This is a
No, this is a videographer.
Videographer is terrible.
Submission.
This is one of those videographers that ruin it for the rest of us.
Who brought a light dome to a wedding? Bro? Just one of these.
Yeah,
Just a huge 5-foot softbox.
Hey, if it's fit your style, but yeah, that's way too much.
Okay, but this photographer again shouldn't rely on a videographer to do her job, because a flash will always overpower constant lighting.
Right.
So like I think it's weird for a photographer to say, "I can't do my job if the videographer is turning their lights on and off." It's like, no, bring a flash.
What's also interesting though here too is she said, "Make sure to leave the lights on for me too." The wedding last week, the videographer would get his shots and then turn off the light, and I'm not dealing with that BS this time. We used to always leave our lights on the whole time, and we would have people saying, "Hey, like, could you turn off the lights?"
Depends on the wedding.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
ruining the vibe. And so now what you and I actually do is we kind of do that same thing. We leave it on, get our shot, turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it on, turn it off.
More
Depends
times-
on the part of the reception.
Yes. The speeches, yes. We always turn them right off after
Right.
a speech.
Right.
Because you don't want to ruin the ambiance. Dance parties, it's just different. Like it just
Yeah.
kind of reread the room. If it's like
Yeah.
a chill, like, you know what, this definitely needs a light. We just kind of put it back next to the DJ. It blends in with the DJ's lighting, and we just shoot backlight the entire time. It looks great. Sometimes we just leave them off the entire time.
Right.
Bump up our ISO, get some grain, and say,
Paparazzi.
but the vibe is this couple, wants to just party in the dark, and we'll walk around like a handheld light, get that
Right.
paparazzi look, which we learned from Larev. And then sometimes, we'll leave it on the entire time and not, I don't know. It just depends. But I think the photographer, that BS for sure, because you can already tell if a videographer brought a light dome on an Aperture 300D, you know what type of guy he is. So it's just like, bro, it's not that deep. You're doing too much.
Doesn't like Ray Roman bring Aperture?
Ray
to it?
brings
He brings like a whole team.
he brings a lighting guy. Depends on the wedding. I've seen his BTS but it's usually a guy on a stand, and it's not a light dome. It's not a 300D. It's usually like a panel light,
Right.
Which is totally fine.
And this probably also isn't like a Ray Roman level wedding.
no, a 300D is crazy because you need like a C stand as well.
Yeah.
and like a light bag.
Sandbags.
Yeah.
You got to be doing a lot of stuff. Right?
So you just know that kid's like one of those filmmakers who just probably their first wedding.
Yeah.
All these comments. 300Ds are the
I bring
best
a 300.
wedding light. No, they're not.
No, yeah, we're actually releasing a lighting guide here pretty soon, and we talk about, because I feel like that is, if someone's coming into weddings from like the commercial side of things, where they have a 300D, they have a 600, like whatever they have, they kind of think that's what you need to use for lighting. So I wonder if he was like a commercial videographer that got hired for a friend.
Sure.
But there are a lot better lighting solutions.
Okay.
Way more. They're not intrusive.
Yeah.
And they get the job done.
Agreed. And you and I just prefer easy to manage smaller gear for weddings.
Yeah.
For corporate stuff, we prefer the big stuff.
Yeah.
A good example, Justin Porter. He offers his movie package where he actually does sit down interviews, Netflix style, with the couples and the family and everyone. He brings a softbox, a light dome, a big light for those interviews because that's what they're supposed to be used for. But to use a softbox at a dance party, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't.
You don't need soft light. You don't. I don't know.
I don't know. Sounds like a pain to lug that around, though.
Yeah, what a
Holy
joke.
cow.
And just like someone's gonna bump into it. I don't know.
Kids. I bet kids were at that
This is
wedding.
definitely a videographer story. But also, whoever this photographer is, adapt.
Yeah. I wonder if they were... Hopefully they had their own solutions if the video didn't have light.
Yeah.
So that is weird. As far as a rating for that photographer, it didn't seem like they
3,
did
4,
anything wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Hard to say.
I like working with a photographer that is kind of a little rough around the edges.
I do like that.
Like kind of edgy.
I like when a photographer comes up to me and says, "I've had a bad experience with videographers," because then it's like, "Okay, the bar is low.
Yeah, easy.
Watch me
blow this out
Pole
of the
vault
water.
this.
Yeah.
Pole vault? What's the word for that? What's that sport called? Pole vaulting. Clear it. Watch me
Yeah. Yeah. The pole vault.
vault it.
Yeah,
Vault
vaulting.
it? Hurdle it.
No, that's the sprint.
Jump it. Watch me raise that bar.
I like that a lot better.
Watch me add some spice to that dish. You have a long story ahead of you.
I do.
Egyptian even.
Egyptians. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the Egyptian culture, so let's
I
see
know
what we got.
Cleopatra was heavily involved.
I do know Cleopatra, pharaohs. Okay. So I'll tell y'all the full story of working with Egyptians and an Egyptian videographer as me being a first shooter at times and primarily a second shooter. Was it just me or was that kind of weird?
I don't understand a single word of that, but
I didn't
all I
get
got
that.
from it
Okay,
is
wait.
here's a story about Egyptians.
So I'll tell you the full story of working with Egyptians and an Egyptian videographer as me being a first shooter at times and primarily a second shooter. I don't know what's happening, but we'll keep going, okay? I have a great friend, wonderful man of God I met on Full-Time Filmmaker to shoot weddings as me being a second shooter for $500, and at the time, that sounded great. There was so much discussions and controversy and arguments about making sure the camera was the same, the way I shot be exactly like them, no handheld shots, just make them look like a ballerina and make it look cinematic and perfect, which I thought was absurdly time consuming the way they would shoot in person, where it got to the point the photographers we would work with would feel frustrated with him, and I was just a sweet, nice middleman trying to calm things down. Talk about a run-on sentence, man.
You did great, Nate.
Oh boy, I need a drink of water.
So, in summary, they were shooting for a videographer
And the video
who likes
said,
very posed ballerina type shots.
This is how I shoot. You shoot like me.
And the photographers would get upset about it.
Okay. Where was I? Okay.
About halfway through.
Okay, photographers are mad, and this person is the sweet, nice middleman trying to clam things down. She wants to learn videography. Man, I'm so lost. I'm sorry.
okay.
She wants to learn videography, but she asked me instead of him, which is hilarious. She's
The
been
photographer.
The photographer. She's even been featured on Vogue magazine, and still my videographer friend, the Egyptian, always says, okay, ... This is the problem you don't understand, which in reality, he was trying to make things from a perfect template they made up, and when they can't get all the shots, they say, all caps, this is the worst wedding ever.
I'm so lost.
And I have to tell him, no, it is not. Stop being so negative and be praising and thanking God in every second you're shooting instead of grumbling and getting irritated when things go your way.
Don't go your way. But
Yeah. Well, yeah, when
he
it
should
says
have
go
said,
your, yeah, okay. Crucial word to leave out there.
yeah. Crucial.
Plus, there's the side of the language barrier. Egyptians speak Arabic, and it is very fast and very monotoned. So you can imagine how his English sounds. I love him a lot, like a brother in Christ, but man, it's so hard to be patient with him for the photographers at least, in all caps. Ha ha. But if you're consistent in spending time with God, then it shows in your treatment of other people. Every wedding that I didn't help him with, they would always ask for me, and that they loved the way I treated people. Since day one, I've always treated people I'm working with as people made in God's creation, and this changes everything.
Beautiful sermon.
I got to be honest, I don't know what I just read.
Allow me. This
Please.
is also a videographer suck column, not a photographer.
This is also me like just trying to make sure I'm reading it correctly, and I wasn't processing.
So far, two of the three stories have not related to photographers,
Okay.
but that's okay. This was about a photographer being upset with the lead shooter who posed a little bit too intensely.
And the second shooter,
That's
the
all.
person telling the story, is just the middleman.
That's all. It's
Trying
like when
to
I
say-
summarize your voice messages into one sentence, like, oh, this could have been a short text.
Yeah. And the photographer, okay. So this could have been a short story.
Yeah. I have nothing to
Don't
say.
know what to say about this one.
This is also very specific, so if this videographer is listening, they will
Sorry.
definitely know it's them.
I'm sorry.
Because it's very specific.
Yeah.
Also, my guy, I think you have a little bit of Egyptian prejudice that you might need to work out.
There's a bit of Egyptian prejudice here.
They're nice people.
Just the way you start with, I'll tell the full story.
I'd
Working
love
with
to go to Egypt.
Egyptians
Let's go to Egypt.
and an Egyptian videographer. Replace Egyptian with another race.
Has nothing to do with photographers. Moving on.
Interesting to me that the photographer wants to learn videography when she's been featured on Vogue. Kind
Yeah.
of seems a little late for the
Stick
career
to your
change.
guns.
Yeah. Stick to your guns. Yeah. No.
Actually, stick to your guns. Stay out of our lane.
Yeah. Stay with your Vogue photo shoots. Photographers sound like a 4 or 5. They sound nice.
They sound fine. Yeah, they sound fine.
I don't. Yeah, I still don't.
We should have a whole little thing about second shooters one day. So I had bad experiences.
Which in reality, he was trying to make things from a perfect template they made up, and when they can't get all the shots, they say this is the worst wedding ever.
Also, I wouldn't second shoot for someone like that because that you associate with them now. So, all right,
It's from full-time filmmaker.
yeah, classic. Just kidding. It doesn't mean anything. All right, onward. From a videographer. I am a videographer, and my wife second shoots with me. Last year, we were hired to shoot a wedding for a girl I went to high school with. And originally, we're supposed to work with a photographer team that we had worked with before and had a good relationship with. However, due to miscommunication on the bride's part, the photographers were no longer available for her wedding date. So she ended up hiring a photographer last minute. His name was Rod. He showed up with a mullet, bolo tie, and vest. Rod was bad vibes.
Sounds like great vibes.
Sounds like Joe from Switchback Stories. We start doing some photo video of the bridesmaids, and he starts making creepy comments like, it's okay to hike your dress up a bit higher. To make things worse, he would take so long to set up each shot. He also pissed off the venue owner by parking right in front of the venue when we were specifically asked not to. The best part of the story, though, is receiving the couple's Christmas card. And instead of a photo from their wedding, it was a screenshot from my video. Freaking Rod, dude. Rod, and leave the bolo ties
He
out.
sounded like a cool dude, but
Nate's like, I actually identify with this guy, Rod. Here's the funny thing. Mullet, bolo tie, and vest, no problem with that.
No.
Not an issue.
I'm asking
it
this
does
dude's
paint
life
a picture.
story. I'm asking his life story. Joe Dirt.
Where I get creepy is it's okay to hike your dress up a little bit. You know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses with the Jeffrey Dahmer accent. I don't know why.
I never watched that documentary.
Don't.
I won't.
Do not watch it.
I don't want to.
It's disturbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of creepy vibes.
It's okay.
If you want to show more leg, there's better ways to say it.
It's okay to hike your dress on. Yeah. Was that the only creepy thing he said?
That's all I got. Rod. They named him. Rod, I don't know what to rate you, bro.
Rod's going to be our second 1-star review right behind DJ Tipsy.
Rod, I'm going to give you a 5 for style. And I mean, clearly, if the couple didn't enjoy you, if they would have used your photos as a Christmas card. So he clearly must have not done a great job.
I wonder if he was wearing cowboy boots.
Yeah, maybe.
We've shot with photographers who had cowboy boots on
Yeah.
and very bright colored dresses. And it was like,
Wild.
don't do that.
Wild.
I liked Rod
like
until
Rod.
the hiking up the dress.
The dress
I
is
like him.
creepy.
Don't know what to rate him. Yeah,
Bedside
you're right.
manner, bro.
That's,
So how do you ask a bride to show more leg? Because sometimes it's just a slit.
yeah, we like working
And
with
if they use the slit in the dress, they want to show their
I want
leg.
to use it.
So how do you say that? You personally?
I probably wouldn't.
Really?
As much as they hike their dress up, that's probably as far as they're comfortable showing. Oh. I feel like it's
I
weird for me to
usually
be like
say
hike it up higher.
I usually will just say like step forward with your leg so it comes to the slit.
Right, so it comes through the slit.
Then they know what I'm trying to say. If I say hike up your dress,
That's weird.
it's like that scene from Bombshell
I know what you're
with
talking
Margot
about, yeah.
Robbie.
Yeah, no, we work with Courtney a lot, and Courtney's the queen of the dress
Courtney can
slit
say
shop.
that and get away with
yeah,
it.
but I've never heard Courtney say that.
No,
she
she's
just
professional.
she just always says, "We're gonna do some leg, like we're gonna show off some
Yeah.
leg. We're gonna
Yeah.
work that dress."
Yeah.
And the bride always gets the assignment, and she works
Yeah.
it.
Courtney
Never-
brides are also built differently. So
Yeah, they definitely are.
freaking Rod, dude.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, since they hired Rod, hopefully he had a portfolio.
Yeah.
Courtney gets away with it because you go to her Instagram and all you see is just brides working the slit
Yeah.
in the dress.
Yeah.
I wonder if
It's a
Rod's
signature of Courtney's.
I wonder if Rod's Instagram has any slit leg
maybe.
work. Are you taking a Be Real?
Yeah. Guys, that's the ugliest picture I've ever taken.
I deleted my
love
Be
Be
Real.
Real. Why?
I didn't like it.
Why?
Did you say you love it?
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Why?
It got way too pushy for me.
Pushy.
Pushy.
Once a day?
It was that, but it kept pushing notifications saying, "See what you missed. Take your Be Real
that off.
now." I just don't want it. I was just like, I don't like it.
It sends 2 notifications a day.
All right.
Your Be Real.
It makes me feel bad
And
if I
then-
miss it, though.
See what you missed.
Right. It makes me feel bad if I missed it, though. It's like, oh, you missed your chance. Here's what other people are posting. Take yours now. And it just stays there all day. And it keeps reminding me.
So take a picture. Be real.
Take a picture. I don't want to take a picture.
Kayla takes pictures.
I want to do my work. I want to live my life. I don't want to just be like, oh, wait, hold on. Let me pause everything. I like the flow state. Have you ever been in a flow state and it just interrupts you and
Don't
you're
even
just like,
start on your flow state, bro.
Dude, get in
your
the flow
flow state
state.
is I'm gonna be on Do Not Disturb from 9 to 5 every day, and then I can get a hold of you.
I would. We'll wait till
As
the
a
life
business
lessons.
partner, I should be able to get a hold of you.
We'll wait till the life lessons because I talk about it.
And then it's like everyone's trying to get a hold of you. Like I'll have discussions with Emma or Becca or workshop stuff. We'll make decisions, and then you'll come in hours later and like give your feedback. I'm like, no, it's already been decided. It's already done. It's gone. You're late. You lost. You missed. Also, Do Not Disturb for the flow state. It's like you missed the discussions.
99% of
99%.
99% of the time, it's not urgent.
That's not the point.
It is.
What's urgent? Be real's urgent.
Be real.
You have 2 minutes out of 24 hours of your day you can't commit
Right.
to.
It is urgent. It is urgent, but it's pointless.
It's real. It's fun.
It's pointless.
It's social media. All social media is pointless. Be real's the most genuine social media out there.
I just don't want to. I just don't want to sacrifice
2 minutes.
work. No, because it breaks your state.
It doesn't.
It does.
It didn't. Right
It
now
does.
we're still podcasting.
We're talking. No, we interrupted our
You brought
podcast
it
to
up.
talk about it.
Our podcast has no narrative. It works.
No, it breaks the state.
I love Be Real. You're missing out. Me and Kayla have great conversations on Be Real.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, Rod, do better. Love your style,
Still
though.
don't know what to rate them at, though. All right, last one. All right. We worked a wedding where the photographer had apparently been photographing weddings for decades. The day was rough, to say the least. This photographer used flash for everything, and I mean everything. The first touch, which was outside at 3 p.m., that's crazy.
High key people.
Even during the outdoor ceremony.
That's crazy.
There was tension all day to us being in her second shooter's way during portraits. Mind you, her second shooter was on a 70-200 all day and standing 20 feet behind us. And my second shooter and
That's
I
not
were
a problem.
Yeah, and my second shooter and I were right next to the main photographer all day. This all came to a climax when we grabbed a few quick portraits of the couple while the wedding party got ready for the wedding party portraits. I suggested that the groom put his hand in his pocket because it looked awkward, and she proceeded to raise her voice saying, "Are you going to direct or me? We have too many voices, it's confusing. I've been doing this for decades and I've never had to deal with this." She then suggested we needed to do separate portrait sessions and walked off to set up for the reception. The couple, the coordinator, and the entire wedding party's jaw dropped. 1 out of 5 rating instantly.
Yeah. I do have some bones to pick with this videographer.
With the video,
Yeah.
the thumb in
I think there are a lot of
the
things
hand.
that we're not hearing.
from the
Are you going to
photographer's point?
direct or me? I feel like that was like a built up thing.
Yeah, that could have been built up.
Maybe
thing.
the videographers were saying too much.
Maybe they were.
I'll get to the photographer, but the videographer, why are you and your second shooter both right next to the main photographer?
Second shooter should
Go
definitely
somewhere
be
else.
further
Tell
away,
your
yeah.
second shooter to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's no reason all
get the
three
same
of you
angle.
should be there. Yeah.
The second shooter should be getting a completely
Get a different angle.
Yeah.
Or you're just paying him to do the exact same job you're doing and you're yeah, I don't know.
Also, that would be super annoying though if the photographer's second shooter was behind us on a 70-200 trying to shoot. Well, actually, no, that
That's my
comes
thing.
down
I
to
don't,
the.
I don't care because you're behind
Yeah,
me.
that also comes down. What was the situation here? Because it sounds like we had the main photographer, the two videographers standing right next to her, and then the second shooter standing directly behind them, shooting on a 70-200. Is everyone just getting the same exact angle here?
Yeah, you guys need to move. You guys need to get more creative.
You got to move around a little bit.
Your second shooter should not be doing your lead angle. Have him get a creative angle.
It
And yeah,
sounds-
I don't care. If your photographer is behind me, it's like, okay, well, then you have to move around me
Right.
because I'm not,
Tell your
I'm
second
not gonna
shooter
be
to adapt.
aware of who's behind me,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, tell your second shooter to adapt.
Yeah, the hand in thing. I mean, I get that. I could see where the photographer is frustrated. If like they're setting up a pose and then I jump in and say, put your hand in your pocket. Maybe they had a very specific vision for the pose and they didn't want voices directing. But to the videographer's credit, usually you put your hands in your pockets. So it's like,
Thumb in, thumb out, but the hand is
I
in the
see
pocket.
why, and I've even said that because photographers always say it, so then I just say it before they do, you know?
Hand in pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if they don't, they're just kind of
And
like,
this photographer clearly wants the hand out of the pocket.
what are they doing with their hands? And they're kind of clutching it in front of their
Or like,
brain.
what if it's just kind of like stoic, you know,
Yeah.
vogued? I don't know. To suggest separate portrait sessions is just like, you've been doing it for 20 years and you can't work with a videographer.
Some of the worst photographers we've worked with actually have been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
It's the old dog syndrome. They just can't learn new things and they're just stuck in their old
And they're
routine.
so threatened by the young guys.
Uh-huh.
So threatened by it. Yeah, the fact, like, saying you've been doing it for 20 years
Means nothing.
and then to be unprofessional and throw a fit in front of your clients shows me you've learned nothing over 20 years.
I think that, and this isn't just applying to wedding videography, whenever someone tries to use the I've been doing it for this many years card,
It almost devalidates them.
devalues it. Like, for example, my dad, he always says, Nate, do you think you're a better driver than me? And I'm like, absolutely, I'm a better driver than you. He's like, I've been driving for 50 years. And all that tells me is when I get in the car with him and I see him not use his blinker or he just merges
Bad habits.
just bad habits.
Compounded over 50 years.
Exactly. They've been solidified for 50 years. Same thing happens. My brother-in-law, he's a surgeon at the Mayo Clinic and he's
Well, I'd rather have an older surgeon.
yeah. Well, no, like, but it's the same thing in the medical field where sometimes when a surgery is going on, there is a younger surgeon who is more kind of up to date on the newest technologies. And the older surgeon just says, no, we're not doing that. We're doing it my way. And many times they could have listened to the younger person and it would have worked.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, so when someone's been doing it for 20 years and they say, no, we're doing this, it's like bad habits compound.
Like that scene in Burnt where he refuses to cook salmon
In the sous vide.
in the sous vide.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we haven't cooked it this way for like a decade. Like this is archaic.
It's moved on.
People make fun of us for doing it this way because he didn't want to adapt and he did. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's why the videographers who have been doing it for decades, who are evolving, and like Larev for me are people who are constantly just on the trends, evolving, up to date. Their gear's always being updated, learning and growing with the younger generation. Like those to me, I was like, that's the way to do it in the creative industry.
Right.
But the people who are still shooting weddings the way they were in early 2000s, I'm like, it's embarrassing for you. And then when you say, I've been over 20 years, I'm like, ooh. And here we are throwing a fit in front of your clients.
Yeah.
And then you storm off and demand a separate session.
Yeah, you haven't changed since 2003.
You know how to work with other people? 20 years? Really?
I don't know. I'm giving that photographer, 1 out of 5.
Solid 1 star, dude.
If we can do half stars, it's a half star.
Yeah, I'll give him a half star.
Yeah.
Absolutely bitter. But yeah, for the videographer, just spread out your team.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate it, I promise.
Get different
Your
angles.
editors will appreciate it, I
Get
promise.
different angles,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, that was it. Those are our stories.
Do we have any photographer wars that we...
I mean, I've already said I only have a few that I've mentioned a few times. I'll send this to Adam, though. I have been blessed with a large following with my association from Full-Time Filmmaker. And a lot of the weddings where I meet very standoffish photographers who are very just like even like young photographers I've met who just hate videographers for whatever reason, think they're better than us. They're so standoffish to me and they're so rude. They don't want me to direct. They don't give me the time of day. They don't ask me if I got my shots. I always just combat that with an over excessive kindness and say I'm gonna give you a follow. Love to see your work. And I give them a follow and say, oh, beautiful shots, on their, and I like their photos in that moment. So they'll pull out their phone and they'll see my following, and it's usually a lot higher than theirs. And I'm not saying I'm better than them because of my following. That's not the point of the story. The point is they look at how many people follow me and they all of a sudden are my best friend.
Yeah, it changes.
All of a sudden want to put a story. That bothers me. Yeah. More than them being rude to me bothers me. But then at least they're collaborative and nice after that, So that's kind of my experience is usually I can soften them with saying actually people know me. To quote Ron Burgundy. Not that followers matter, you guys. Please don't listen to this story and think the point is to get followers and people be nice to you. It's the opposite. but that bugs me usually is when they treat you differently based on how many followers you have.
Yeah.
High or low.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we're pretty good at working with photographers, and usually the first thing when we start filming a wedding is we find the photographer after we find the couple if they're in separate rooms, and we just say, hey, like, how's it going? I'm Jake. I'm Nate. We're shooting alongside you. Like, we're easy.
Yeah.
We're this. Like, do what you gotta do. We'll be just kind of like your shadow.
I think that's the first phrase out of our mouth is we're very chill.
Yeah. Very
We're
chill.
very excited to work with you. Yeah.
And then they're always like, oh yeah, me too. Whatever you guys need. If I'm ever in your shot, and we're like, likewise. If we're in your shot, just let us know.
And I also feel like, and I know not everyone has this social skill, but I do feel like I'm not afraid to tell a photographer to get out of my way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can do it politely without coming across like rude. I can say, hey, like just when you're done, I need to get, like, I don't feel like weird about it. Some photographers have a really hard time with that.
So the easiest way that I've found to tell photographers that they are in my shot is to just say, hey, when you're done with this shot, of course I say, hey, when you're done with the shot, can I get the same one?
Yeah.
And that's just me saying, you're in the way, but politely. I need the shot.
Yeah. And they'll reciprocate that.
Yeah.
At least our hope is, and I think the sooner you do that on the wedding day, the sooner you say respectfully, love your shot, I want to get that right after you, they'll naturally want to, give that back to you and respect you that way.
And you made a good point too. It's like when you say that, you're complimenting them because you're saying, I love your shot you're getting. I want to get that too. Just when you're done. I respect you, your space.
But I think the struggle is a lot of videographers struggle with that confidence.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised that way. I just don't have the personality. If I want to say something, I'll say something. I'm there to do a job, but I'm not going to let someone limit me from doing my job. And so I'll always just jump in and say, hey, like, I want to get the shot, or hey, I have a pose, or hey, when you're done with this, I have something. But I think where videographers get tied up is when they hang back with their camera, don't record. Photographer does theirs, and then they jump in and say, my turn, my pose. And they take way too long,
Yeah.
I never do that.
Yeah. I feel like,
collaboration is a interesting skill set.
Yeah.
It takes practice. I feel like it comes easier to some. I feel like it comes easier to some than others, but regardless, it's something that you need to be conscious of and intentional about.
Yeah.
And not just photographers, man, like planners. Like that, we had a few weddings where the planner had a very specific shot list, and it's like, you know what? Okay, like we will do that for you. We can sacrifice our needs because you have some things you want, and I could argue with you, but you clearly have something you want, and I'll give it to you. It's minimum effort for me.
Right.
But overall, I love photographers. I love them. We've been blessed, and I think you and I are just naturally collaborative with photographers.
Yeah. What was it? What did Adam?
Adam asked,
say?
he's like you.
Adam commented on our previous podcast on YouTube, and he said something about us not loving to work with photographers, and we started saying, oh no, we've been blessed with photographers, and he said
the only reason you get along so well with photographers is because you're both sexy AF and nice, but you need to both not encounter rude photographers. And he said, additionally, people in Utah are nicer than most people in the country. I'm like, yeah, but we don't work with people in Utah.
Yeah, we don't. I also think we get along with photographers. I will say appearance does go a long way. When we show up dressed nice,
we're attractive.
No, I'm saying the way we dress and things like that, that sort of appearance does go a long way. I think when a photographer also reciprocates that and they show up for a wedding dressed nice, they're professional, and they see that the video team is also doing the same thing. Because traditionally it seems like videographers are just kind of like ragtag groups that just run and gun.
Try to be filmmakers.
Trying to be Sam Colder, wearing just these, baggy tees and ripped holes in your, which...
That's what you wear. Wait a tick. Describing your style.
Hang on. I think that's just how we've always been seen. So when they see that we are wearing suits or wearing ties, we're professional, and that's a good first impression. But it's hard to teach social skills sometimes.
It is.
It is.
And also just submissiveness. Like I remember telling someone, like, wear a suit. Like, I'm not gonna dress like a monkey for someone's event. It's like, see, there's the problem. Like, for some reason you think you're better than what?
Is this Samuel?
No.
Samuel
somebody
gives us
else.
some flack when we tell him to
Sam
wear a
just
suit.
is pretty decent.
He does.
Not in the summer.
He dresses fantastic day
Well,
to
now that he
day.
carries guns, he
can't wear
always
a
has
suit.
to dress nice because he has to.
His day to day is amazing, but the second he shoots a wedding,
White vans come out.
white vans come out.
He
Love the
dresses
kid.
nice.
Love the kid.
But no, like, and that was the problem is that this videographer didn't want to dress up for someone's event. It's like, well, there's your problem. Like, you just complained to me for an hour about your pricing being too low and you're not finding enough clients and your referrals aren't working. And you're not willing to do the easiest thing, wear a blazer. And that to me is like the disconnect.
Yeah.
It's like people want or feel this entitlement to their clients and these prices and these markets, but they want to be as is. And okay, on the other side of the spectrum, I'll call out Jay and Mac. Jay is my boy. Jay doesn't own a suit. Jay, they have a very specific brand, a very specific style. It's not homeless by any chance. It's not. They're still dressed nice and professional for a wedding.
Yeah.
But they're not suit people. It's not their brand. But they're still the most professional people I've ever met. They know how to communicate. They're very courteous, very kind, and that's their brand. We're not saying you have to wear a suit at a wedding. Please don't take it that way. Depends on the market you're in. But I think it does go a long way with how you carry yourself and what you wear.
Yeah. You can dig up pictures of us wearing t-shirts and jeans.
And I think the saving grace that we overcompensated with courtesy and communication.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had more photographers dress horribly at weddings.
Yeah.
The last year, I feel like.
I think we've also been more mindful of it this past year.
Yeah.
Because we've had the brand guidelines. We've known exactly what we wanted. It'd be interesting to go back into the past without those standards and just say, hey, what were they wearing?
It would be interesting.
What do you think? Do you think the brand you create needs to be an extension of yourself, like the day-to-day? Because here's where I kind of had this thought. I went to a wedding reception a couple months ago of just, some friends. They had an LDS wedding and they had this reception in this kind of like greenhouse looking thing. It was pretty. And I show up there dressed nice. I usually don't dress crazy nice. But I went into this reception and I was dressed. I think I had a suit coat on. And while I was there, I met one of the people that worked at, I think it was either 20 and Creek. And they're like, oh, it was a friend of mine. I had no idea she worked for 20 and Creek. She's like, oh, the manager is also here too. And she started like waving her over. And I was dressed according to Runaway Vows. Yeah. But usually I wouldn't be dressed like that. So on the way home, I was telling Kayla, like, I'm glad I was dressed according to Runaway Vows standards because that's not my everyday dress. This I would hardly even say is my everyday dress. I'm usually wearing just like an oversized t-shirt, some baggy pants. And these pants every day. My Converse have holes all the way through them. And so...
Are you getting Converse for Christmas?
Probably not. No, I love these.
They contradict everything you just said.
Right. Well, no, so like if I would have been dressed in just like...
That's your flaming gun right there.
Yeah. If I would have been
Smoking
dressed
gun.
in just baggy clothes or whatever, how does it come off to other people? Is it like, whoa, they're cool?
You didn't know there'd be a business opportunity at this reception you were stopping by at?
Well, no, like...
You know what I mean?
Could it be like, wow, he's cool, like... He has a totally different style than what his brand is. Like his brand is totally different. It looks cool. It's clean and professional, but this is him as a person. And I like that. Or is it, I don't like that he's dressed like garbage, but because he has this brand. Do people respect that you keep it separate and you can represent both?
I hope so, because this podcast is the epitome of what we are not.
I guess that's true. That's true, I guess. Good point.
I pray.
I hope they can respect the duality.
I was like, wait a tick. This podcast is the epitome of being
two-faced.
Not what we want to present to the world. Do
you think people respect that?
Yeah, I do. Case by case. I think it's who you are.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, I think people who, I don't know, I think you should naturally want to be better. I think our generation has hounded self-acceptance to a fault. I think we needed to have the pendulum come back this way a little bit towards self-acceptance. I think we had a toxic culture before. but I think it kept swinging way too far, and now like it's just like as you are is perfect, and I reject that. I love who I am, but I strive to be better.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve or to put on. My mom always says this. She says, act the way you want to be, and soon you'll be the way you act. A very simple phrase. Just if you want to be better, start acting better,
Fake it till
and
you
you
make it.
naturally will be. Yeah. And I think with Runaway Vows, you and I said, okay, we're gonna act like this luxury brand. We're gonna start dressing better, and it naturally became who we are at weddings, especially, and with our business. And I think, and then this podcast is just for us to decompress a little bit.
Yeah, just have fun.
So I think people who like, I don't want to wear a suit or I don't want to be this way. It's like, well, you don't have to like fit in with the mold of what you think that is. There's no mold, but still, like, you should want to be a better person. You should want to have a better image.
Yeah.
And you should also like, you should care to some degree of your reputation.
You should.
'Cause in this industry, that's all you have.
At the same time, though, how would you feel if a wedding planner didn't hire us for a gig because they listened to one of our podcasts and didn't like who we were naturally? I would feel like we
Screw
dodged
'em.
a bullet.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I would feel like,
yeah.
we wouldn't have worked well with them anyway. So there's that duality.
I'll call her out, Alicia.
Oh,
Data
dear.
Planning.
She's probably listening to this.
Homie. She listens to this every week. She submits stories.
Gotcha. Good.
And she always DMs us and says, I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for being genuine.
Yeah.
So
Alicia is a homie.
if like, and that's the thing, like, and I think that's what I think you can put on your best self, and then people can say, oh, like, I actually found like your personal Instagram page or your podcast or something, and you're a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
But I can tell that's just you. But let's remove the facade of like, is anybody the same after the 9 to 5? No.
No,
So why are we
everyone's
pretending like we are?
Everyone has two identities. It's
Right?
a social identity
And
and,
you
a
should.
real life identity.
You should have a professional workplace, mannerisms, and then you should be able to go home and decompress. And this is us being at home decompressing.
Yeah. In a 57-degree home that Landon
So
never
cold.
heats up.
I feel like when I breathe, I feel like I can feel the chill. Yeah.
No, yeah,
So,
I do like that. I think it is funny that all of us, the second we get home, we put on sweats.
Yeah.
You know, we put on some
Yeah.
flip flops and sandals and get comfy. But it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
To just admit that.
Yeah. It's stupid. And we're just all hypocrites. That's the bottom line.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think our podcast, for example, you guys, is like, we don't claim for it to be like, it's not an educational podcast. Like, we'll share some educational wisdom here and there, but it's really just to have fun. This is kind of the clock out
Yeah.
time. You're in the kitchen now cooking dinner. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's casual.
Yeah.
But our business is very intense.
Yeah. No, we've said it before. We have, different personalities, different brands in person or online, but we have different modes. This is us, just normal day to day, being buddies and best friends and business partners. But if we show up on a wedding, we're very professional.
Yeah, we don't banter.
It's yay
Yeah.
or nay.
Yeah.
We're doing this. This is how it's going to be. We're collaborative
Exactly.
and professional.
Yeah.
Took us a while to learn that, though. There are some times we can look back.
We're just the market, but I don't have like,
Yeah.
regrets about it.
yeah.
Like, even like a small adjustment this year, I feel like I've stopped saying yes, queen as often.
You did used to love saying yes.
But that was
queen.
kind of like my clients. Like, it worked,
It's
but
true.
now it's like, it's just not appropriate.
It was the way you would connect and
Yeah.
make them feel comfortable.
It's just not appropriate now, though,
Yeah.
with the clients I have.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
It was.
It got them smiling.
Yeah, it does.
But now it's just like, it's just not there's better things, there's different things to say. I'll even say better things. I'll say different things to say
yeah.
because I'm trying to present differently.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've enjoyed this episode. I like talking about photographers and
That turned into
videographers.
like a brand identity crisis.
No, I like that though. I think the relationship between photographers and videographers is ever improving. I think
Yeah.
it is getting better slowly because video
Because
is.
the old guys are dying.
Wait till you guys hear Jake's take on Emma's podcast here in about 2 weeks.
Guys, I'm going to cancel this podcast on accident.
We're very sorry, Emma. Jake meant it metaphorically.
The second our podcast ended, we just recorded it. I texted him like, we're never getting invited back.
Probably not.
So go listen to Emma.
But no, yeah, it is improving, and I think it's because video is being seen more as not just a second thought. It's actually coming along
Absolutely.
as I need video, I need photo, I need both, and we're starting to kind of like respect each other more.
Absolutely.
Whereas I feel like photographers for a long time probably didn't respect video because we were stepping on their toes, getting in their industry. But I feel like that's going away a little bit.
Yeah. Well, just the digital content is just different.
Yeah,
Even photographers don't post photos.
everyone wants video.
They post video reels. Yeah. Yeah. Even Courtney, if you go to Courtney's page, you can't find like a photo post.
It's all video.
Yeah.
She's
So
good.
what can we say?
She's good.
Videographers are better. Even photographers want to be us. Courtney's our favorite person
Love
in the world.
Courtney. Love
Favorite
Courtney.
person
to
in the
death.
world. Best photographer we've worked with.
Yeah,
Love her.
love Courtney.
But you guys, this was it for Photographer Wars. If you have any stories, submit them below. We have links. A lot of categories to choose from. We enjoy reading your stories. We do beg that you actually learn how to type in coherent sentences. Every single one of yours were spelled incorrectly. Nate read one story. That was our biggest story, and it was 2 sentences.
And I'm still trying to figure out
It
what
was
it
just
meant
too
exactly.
long round sentences. So, we ask you politely to
Punctuation,
even just run through
matters.
ChatGPT. Say, hey, like, here's my story.
clean it up.
Make it coherent.
Tell the same story.
Make it legible.
Add good punctuation.
Make it, add some periods here. Oxford commas for Nate.
I love the Oxford comma. That's us asking very politely.
I mean, I'm
Just-
a little
just
petty
a
about it,
suggestion.
but it would make the clips easier to clip.
It would.
But you guys, thank you so much for listening. Episode 10, 10 down, hundreds to go. And yeah, stay tuned for the Champagne Club.
It's gonna be really fun.
Maybe we'll talk about it more on the next week's episode.
Or the week after that. I don't know.
We'll see. All right. Love
Catch you
bye.
in the next one.